This week's episode of the Alpha Nerds podcast is brought to you by Sponch. Try new sour cream and chive Sponch, as long as it's not near a microwave.
Welcome to the newest episode of the Alpha Nerds podcast, the only podcast that will never ever come in pumpkin spice. I'm Pete.
I'm Bart.
And every week we talk about one franchise, band, or movie, or TV show, anything really that we enjoy that starts with a certain letter. And this week's letter is L.
L. Lighthouses, lampposts, lumens.
Spanish for the.
Doesn't. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You get that.
The bane of the stereotypically Asian speaker's life.
Ah, don't say that.
Oh, I said stereotypical.
So yeah.
Just derailed it right off the bat. All right. So, yes. So this week's episode is L, and as with every week, we have 5 honorable mentions before we get into our actual subjects. Bart, what is your 5 honorable mentions this week?
All right, so first up, I have Life on Mars, which is a David Bowie song, which is a fantastic song. I love it.
All hail David Bowie.
Maybe not hail, but yeah. But it actually was used as a title for a show where that was made in Britain. They actually made a version here where a detective got sent back from the mid-2000s to the 1970s and then had to solve crimes back there and then had to figure out a way to get back.
Bitchin'.
Yeah, it's a good concept for a show, and I like the fact that they use that name because it really is like living on another planet to him. Next we have Life of Pi. Have you ever seen Life of Pi, Pete?
Yes, I did. And I've never seen it while high, so I feel like I'm kind of missing out.
Life of Pi? You don't have to be on drugs for Life of Pi.
No, but it should help. I mean, pretty much anybody who's ever smoked pot ever will tell you that at least one of the times that they have smoked pot was during Life of Pi.
That's really strange.
Well,
I watched it.
It's either that or Avatar, one of those movies that they have been high during.
Yeah, I heard Avatar a lot.
Yeah.
So I watched Life of Pi. I liked it up until the very end.
Yeah, I remember you had some problems with it.
And it's just trash. The thing is, it shouldn't have gotten me, but it got me because I remember being in the theater and tightening up my fists during tense situations. Ang Lee can direct a film.
Yes, he can.
The man directed Crouching Tiger in an era where kung fu movies were Steven Seagal's and Chuck Norris's and Jean-Claude Van Damme's, and he was but what if we made it so Chinese they didn't speak English? It was great. Yeah, Life of Pi just the ending was just garbage. Because I told the guy about it, but yeah, it's terrible. After that, I have Last King of Scotland, which I said I'd do last week and I didn't.
Shame.
Yeah, and I'm not doing it this week. But it's a film with Forrest Whitaker about a dictator who actually, I think it was Idi Amin, who was a dictator in the 80s in Africa. And all the crazy pants things that come with being a dictator in Africa. James McAvoy's in it. Now
the guy who the guy who it's about, he was basically obsessed with Scottish culture, right? So he was that was his sort of thing, wasn't it?
No,
I'm not.
No,
I'm not
Last King.
This right.
No, Last King of Scotland was one of the titles he claimed for himself. King of Ethiopia, Emperor of all the land, Last King of Scotland, all that.
Okay, so it's basically if I declared myself Emperor of Pennsylvania.
Right.
I am, by the way.
All hail Emperor. All hail the Emperor of Pennsylvania. Number 4 for me is Long Road to Valhalla, which is a fantastic comic book that I love.
It really is. And you picked that one up at Comic-Con, or we both did, actually.
Yeah, you actually bought it before me.
Yeah.
And we got to talk to the writers. They were really cool about it too.
They really were.
like the artist was actually like drawing a crow in one on what, and we'd seen them earlier that day. You bought your copy,
Yeah.
and we swung back to the booth so I could buy mine. I'm asking the guys like, "Oh, can I get a copy?" And the artist is like, "Yeah, let me finish up this drawing, and then you can have this one." I was like, "Sweet."
Yeah, that was cool.
Like, the art's good. It's just a really good book. I liked it. It got me good.
It's definitely worth a read. Go find one. Go find a comic book shop. Go buy it right now.
Yeah, the cover is really cool because like don't look at the cover when you first get it. Just look at the cover after you read it. It'll blow your mind.
Yeah.
That's what, because I didn't notice it like first off, and then when I looked at it afterwards, I was like, "Whoa!" Like, cause
yeah,
it got me.
That sort of like reflection after you finish it, and it's like, what? So
yeah, it was awesome. And then my last one is Leslie Nielsen, King of Spoof.
Leslie Nielsen.
Leslie Nielsen is awesome.
He really is. Favorite Dracula by leagues.
Dracula Dead and Loving It, to Airplane, to the Spy Hard movies, to Police Squad, to Naked Gun 2.5, Naked Gun 33 1/3.
He was even in Scary Movie 3 as the president.
Yeah, he was, with Alonzo Bowden.
Yes.
Who, Alonzo Bowden's still getting work, and I'm glad for that, because I like him.
Good for him.
But yeah, like, so Leslie Nielsen started out as like an actual serious dramatic actor in like the 1960s. Like he was basically the equivalent of, I'm trying to think of what his equivalent would be. He was like the like square jawed, like confident front man. You're like Captain Kirk before Captain Kirk really got set up. But he was in a movie called Forbidden Planet, which if nobody's ever seen it, go watch that movie because it's amazing.
Yeah.
And he's awesome in it. But it's not like you're waiting for the joke nowadays, but it's just a straight up good old sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
That's
It's
why his role
it's a great place to see like where sci-fi like took its roots, at least cinematically.
Yeah. And if you like go from that to Airplane, because that's pretty much what the audience did, because he like did serious movies and then they're like, we want somebody to be in this Airplane movie. It's like seeing Daniel Day-Lewis in like a scary movie.
Yeah.
You'd be like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
You shouldn't be here. But yeah, that's why his part isn't played for laughs. He's never laughing. He's never really making the joke. It's always just like deadpan delivery, opposite of what the other guy's saying. Like he's not like Lloyd Bridges, who was huffing paint and beating up monks inside the airport. It was always like, Shirley, you can't be serious.
I'm always serious, and don't call me Shirley.
Like it was those like quick lines like that. Like he wasn't like he wasn't one of the people who were lining up to beat that woman senseless. Get a hold of yourself. All right, and that's my 5. So, Pete, what have you got for us for honorable mentions?
Well, first off is The Last Halloween. It's a webcomic written, drawn, and inked by Abby Howard.
Oh.
And she does really great work because it's all in black and white, and all of the shading and everything like that is all done with cross-hatching. To those who don't know what cross-hatching is, that's basically when you get like a whole bunch of lines in one direction, and then you intersect them with a whole bunch of lines going in another direction. And if you do it right, you can make shading look really, really great, and you can take something that is really without detail and give it an unnerving amount of detail.
Yeah, it's like her stuff takes her forever.
Yes. So there's so many great monster designs in The Last Halloween, and that's probably my favorite thing about it, because they all just they're all dripping with nightmare sauce.
Seriously.
And it's really great, and there's so many great references in the story so far. It's still going on right now, but Book 1 has been released. I put it into the Kickstarter, and it's a really good-looking book. Like, it's so great. I mean,
yeah, I'm staring at it on my shelf right now.
Yeah. So, it's basically like, imagine if all of the typical Halloween movies, like Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Hellraiser, and just a slew of other like indie Halloween movies all got mashed together, and then you just like threw a DVD of Stand By Me in there.
Okay, I wasn't expecting that.
And that's basically what you get.
Accurate.
And it's amazing. The humor's great, the gore is awesome, and there's a lot. So, I mean, within the first few pages, you see somebody's head get squished. And it is visceral.
Like, the gore is just cranked up to 11 in that thing.
Oh, it's great. And it does such a good job of explaining, like, the lore of the world. And, like, it establishes rules. And sci-fi and fantasy nerds, we fucking love rules.
Yeah, we do. I don't know why.
Yeah. It just... so good. Anyway, so next up is Labyrinth. Because David Bowie is great.
Serious.
And, yeah. So, there was a Halloween parade just by my house yesterday, I think it was.
Oh, crazy.
And somebody was dressed up as David Bowie as the Goblin King, but he was on stilts.
Ooh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it was. It was impressive. So, after that, I've got Lord of the Rings.
Nice.
Because whether you read it, or you watched it, or you sprung for the special edition Blu-ray with extended scenes and everything.
Got it on sale.
Yes. It's all great. Like, I've got no notes for it. There's one thing that some people criticize about the movie, about the trilogy, that just irks me, and that is like, oh, there's so many freaking endings. Oh, the ending takes so long. And I'm sitting here like, they're wrapping everything up. They're showing what happens to everyone. And I guarantee that if they didn't, you would be sitting there on the freaking message board like, oh, it doesn't show what happened to Sam.
What happened to Clearog the Unloved? He was my favorite character.
Yeah. So it's like, dude.
Don't say he died in the flood, man. He can't die there.
And it's just like, you're just whining to whine. And yeah. So
my one gripe with that is less of a gripe with the movies. The movies are fantastic, by the way. Like, they make the thing actually watchable.
Yeah.
But it's a thing in the book and a deleted scene from the movies where Aragon is like part of this like lineage of like long-lived, like, they're not humans, they're not elves, they're like halfway in between.
Yeah, they're like, he's just let's call him like magical human.
Yeah, but it's like, oh, like, okay, so you're the king of men, but you're not.
Yeah.
So why are you here?
Probably
take off the crown, give it to the steward of Gondor. He deserves it. You don't.
Maybe something
Go form your own kingdom in the mountains, or you can take the mines. The dwarves aren't there anymore.
I don't know. Maybe one of the blue wizards stooped his great-great-grandma.
Blah.
I mean, we never hear anything about what happened to the blue wizards. They just, like, faded into obscurity.
Like, hey, bye.
Yeah. So, after that, I've got the Lego movies. Specifically, the Lego movie and Lego Batman.
Nice.
Two movies that I didn't expect... Well, I did expect good things from Lego Batman after seeing the Lego movie, but, you know, when the Lego movie came out, I'm like, this seems like it's just going to be a cash grab, trying to cash in on an already popular franchise, blah, blah, blah. And
but we'd seen it, like, before with Battleship and... Oh, gosh, what was the
Don't
other
even
thing?
get me fucking started on Battleship.
Ouija came after, but that's another one where it's like, why are you taking these properties that have nothing to do with anything? And, okay, it worked with Jumanji.
But that movie became a game after the movie.
No, it was a game before.
Are you sure?
I'm fairly sure. I can't
pretty sure that
verify this
like
right now.
The board game was made to replicate the movie.
I thought it was the other way around.
Either way.
Anyways.
So, yeah. I was blown away by how much I loved those movies. And, you know, it was just so great. And finally, I have The Last Temptation. This was a graphic novel that was written by Neil Gaiman and Alice Cooper of all people.
Nice. Oh, also, Jumanji came out 1981, was a book.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah. Last Temptation, when they were, like, if you have, like, a special edition of the comic book, then there's a foreword by Neil Gaiman where he kind of describes, like, you know, the process of writing this with Alice Cooper, which this was being written at the height of Wayne's World popularity. So, no matter where Alice Cooper went, there would be people who would just start bowing to him and going, "We are not worthy! We are not worthy!"
Gosh, that's such a good scene. That movie's awesome.
Yeah. So, Neil Gaiman just talks about, like, he's sitting in a hotel room where he told Alice Cooper to meet him, and he looks out the window, he sees Alice Cooper get out of a taxi, and he sees two people on the sidewalk immediately drop and bow to him.
Nice.
So, yeah. Last Temptation, it's also a good Halloween book. It's kind of a Faustian bargain sort of story.
Ah, I love Faust.
Yeah.
That sentence has never been said before, or at least not in 200 years. Oh, I love Faust.
So, yeah, those are my 5.
Nice. All right, so I'll kick it off this week. My one is to keep with Halloween and haunted and spooky things. Legend of Sleepy Hollow.
Awesome.
First published in 1820 and written by Washington Irving. Pete, do you know what else he did?
Washington Irving. Popularized the name that guaranteed you would get beat up in middle school?
What?
Irving? I don't know. Sounds like the name of a kid that gets beat up a lot.
No, he wrote Rip Van Winkle. Well, it was 1820. Everybody's had garbage names.
Yeah, that's true.
You had stuff like Arudus Blamford.
I was about to say.
Beat you.
Oh, you bastard.
So, Pete, what do you know about Sleepy Hollow?
Let's see. There are a lot of different iterations of it, but it basically boils down to guy gets his head cut off, then his vengeful spirit just kind of terrorizes the otherwise peaceful village of Sleepy Hollow every Halloween, and if you are chased by the headless horseman, who is this, vengeful spirit and whatever, you just gotta run across the bridge because reasons. He can't follow you across the bridge. But, watch your neck, because he's constantly trying to find his head, and he's looking for it on bodies that are still using theirs.
So yeah, that's pretty much the story. This is American Halloween horror. Like every Halloween, you talk about Sleepy Hollow, because that's like one of the usually you'd see like the Disney movie back in the day.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those things. Is just like it's American Halloween tradition.
That one fucked me up. By the way, like as a kid, it was just I think it was the laugh, or just it messed me up really bad.
I haven't seen it forever, which I should. It's on the computer I'm recording this on, so I should watch it. But yeah, so homegrown horror. There have been, according to Wikipedia at least, 12 movies or TV movies, 2 short films, 9 TV episodes, and 1 entire TV show about Sleepy Hollow.
I remember the TV show being a thing. Never watched it.
It's been on for 4 years. It's still on.
Really? Damn.
Yeah. Well, okay, it's been on for 6 years. It's had 4 seasons, and it's still on.
Ah.
So your cast of characters. First up, we have Ichabod Crane, who is the sometimes nervous, sometimes not, like schoolmaster.
Well, I think the best word to describe him is highly superstitious.
Fidgety, yeah. Lots of people played him. Johnny Depp played him in the Tim Burton Sleepy Hollow. Ed Begley Jr. played him in a TV movie. Jeff Goldblum played him in a TV movie. And Tom Wilson played him in the actual Sleepy Hollow TV show.
Nice.
But yeah, lots of people played him. But Ichabod Crane, like most people know who Ichabod Crane is. Or they can figure it out.
Yeah.
Then we have Katarina von Tassel.
Interesting, just going back to the crane thing. That's also the inspiration of the Scarecrow's name in Batman. So there's
nice.
that. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Dr. Crane. Because, he was a fearful man, so, fear connection, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so go on. Sorry.
No, you're good. So we have Katarina von Tassel. She's the object of affection of the town. She's the leading lady of the story. But not a damsel in distress, which is good, but still just more or less a trophy rather than a character.
Yeah, basically.
She's the son of the richest man in town, which is kind of a thing with these kind of stories.
Yeah, I mean, you can't just have, the love of a beautiful woman being a thing. It's like, not only do I get to love the most beautiful woman in the village, but I'm also gonna be fucking Oprah rich.
Which back then was 2 gold coins.
Yes, 2 hay pennies.
I got a hay penny for each day of the week. That's 5 of them.
That's
Ichabod.
That's 2.5 pennies.
Ichabod Crane, another name that would get you beat up in school.
Yes.
And then we have Crane's rival, Abraham Brom Bones.
Yes.
And Brom Bones also wants to marry Katarina, but he is just your good salt of the earth farmhand kind of guy.
Imagine that. I always kind of imagine Brom Bones as kind of like Biff from Back to the Future.
Yeah, a little bit. I always saw him as the big, like how he is, and because how I first read the story was I read a book back when I was a kid of the Disney cartoon. So how he looks in that is how he looks in my head. Yeah, it's crazy how much a kid's storybook can impress an image on you or amplify the importance of a thing.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah, because when I was a kid, I had a storybook for Return of the Jedi. So yeah, that my sisters had. So Return of the Jedi is awesome to me, and I always knew that Vader was Luke's dad, so it wasn't ever a shock. Yeah. So, but it was still great. That's my favorite movie. But we're gonna move on. Gosh, I hope that doesn't come on. But we're gonna move on. So how the story goes, in some of them, Crane's superstitious, and some of them he's not. But it relies around the first interactions between Crane, the schoolmaster, and Katarina, and then Brom being jealous and slowly playing pricks on Crane the longer and longer it goes on. So everything comes to a head at this one party where Crane's going to propose to Katarina. Either he doesn't get to, or he gets rejected. I think in the Disney movie they don't even talk about the proposal.
Yeah, they don't even. They just know that he was all like, "Oh, Katarina."
But at the party is where Brom, because in his final act of well, I'm gonna show this guy some stuff, he tells him the tale of the headless horseman.
Yeah.
And the tale's pretty much the same thing that you were saying. He was the ghost of a Hessian soldier from the Revolution whose head was removed via cannonball, which is a pretty legendary way to go.
It really is. If there is an afterlife and people trade stories about how they died, he pretty much wins.
Yeah, 10 out of, there's been crazier ones, but 10 out of 10 still.
Yeah, and if in the afterlife you look how you died, if somebody died in a fire and they're just always burned in the afterlife, poor guy's got just a smashed cannon face.
What, he's carrying around the head with the ball still embedded in it?
I would imagine that his head would just be half crushed, because I imagine that's when he would have officially died.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
So, yeah, he's just got a half crushed banana shaped face.
Just holds it up. How you guys doing?
Gross.
So, he's a Hessian. Pete, what do you know about the Hessians?
They're from Hessia.
Kind of. They're from Hesse-Kassel.
I just, I do know that they were pretty fucking scary in war.
Well, not exactly. So, basically they were just merchants or mercenaries who were hired out, but it wasn't like nowadays where you go to Blackwater and you hire them. It was the English hiring this German provinces army. Because there was no Germany, it was just the Germanic states of Prussia.
Huh.
Yeah, so he just hired their whole army, and there was actually some troops from, because the revolutionaries hated them because they're professional soldiers, they're really good.
Right.
So the Americans hated them, so they just called any German like Hessen, like just like cussing them out. Some of them weren't actually mercenaries. Some of them were basically British citizens. So there was an area in Britain called Brunswick, and the Duke of Brunswick, the land was owned by the King of England. So these were basically just English citizens who, when the war came, went off to war for England because that's what you do.
Huh.
Yeah. So not all, because as Americans we're just taught there are Hessians who are the Germans who work for them, but it's actually like a bit more complicated. That most of them were mercenaries, like 40%, but another like 60% were from other areas of the country, other areas of what it's now Germany, or like the Brunswick soldiers that came over of their own free will. And most of them, or not most of them, but a lot of them actually stayed here. So that you'd see reports where it's like 5,600 went, like 4,600 came back. But it wasn't that they lost 1,000. It's that they either lost 1,000 or 500 were like, yeah, I think I'm gonna stay. I could start a brewery here. I'll name it after that guy. Hey, buddy, what's your name? Sam Adams. Let's start a Sam Adams. History facts about the Revolution. And at the party is where Crane hears the story of the Headless Horseman. And not a lot of people have played the Headless Horseman because it doesn't have a face.
Yeah.
Probably the most famous is Christopher Walken, who played it in the Tim Burton film.
Now, he was a really good Headless Horseman when he still had a head.
Yeah.
So I guess he would just be the horseman.
Yeah. So Crane hears the story. Crane's like nervous and goes out. Sometimes he's, again, the proposal, sometimes he's rejected, sometimes he doesn't propose. And he leaves the party. And he gets to a crossing, and a horseman comes up next to him, and he's just like letting the guy like walk next to him, and then he realizes the man doesn't have a head, and that his head is actually, in the story, his head's actually sitting on his saddle. Yeah. So then Crane, who's riding his plow horse, not a racing horse, not a running horse, just a workhorse, sprints off, just mad dash, and the horseman's just chasing him the entire time.
Ugh.
In some versions, his like there's a painting where the horse doesn't have a head either, which looks really weird because I don't know which way is front on the horse.
Yeah,
that horse butt.
Yeah,
that looks like a horse butt. That looks like a horse butt. But I guess he's he's not facing anyway. He's not facing. You need a face. But they're like sprinting across, like you were saying. Crane is desperately running as fast as he can to get to the bridge. Crane finally gets to the bridge. He gets over the bridge and turns around and he's like, "Ha!" And then the horseman just barrels through the bridge and is coming after him at high speed. Crane freaks out, sprints away, leaves all of his belongings, never seen in Sleepy Hollow again.
They kind of leave it open to interpretation, like, oh, did he run away, never to be heard from again, or was he murder-lated?
So the scene that like you see afterwards is the next morning, or at least in the book, the next morning you see like the vision of the pumpkin sitting on the ground, broken in half.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't a head sitting next to him on the saddle, it was a pumpkin.
Yeah.
And that wasn't a ghost chasing him, that was Brom Bones, who now is marrying Katarina and is all nice. Interesting
little correlation with using a pumpkin to simulate a head. That's also what they do in a lot of movies. Because the pumpkin is so similar to like a human skull.
Really?
Yeah. Remember that episode of Good Eats?
No, oh, yeah.
Red paint and squid meat.
Sorry.
But
okay.
Yes. So any amateur photographer, any amateur filmmakers out there, if you need a scene where somebody's head gets caved in, just put a wig on a pumpkin and fill it with red paint and squid meat, and then hit it with a bat.
Yeah. But I like sometimes that horseman is supernatural, sometimes he's not. And I like that.
That is really cool. There's a certain air of mystery to the Headless Horseman and the Legend of Sleepy Hollow that's just like it you don't see that in almost any other story, where it's like it. Even if in the story that you're telling, you make it sound like it really is a vengeful spirit that will throw a flaming pumpkin at you to murder you and take your head and see if it fits him. Even at the end, it's like, but was it really, or was it Brom Bones being a dick?
Yeah, well, he's not looking for his head. He has his head. It's the, like, Disney one where, like, he had a pumpkin for the head.
Yeah.
But that's good, like, again, good American iconography.
Yeah.
And what's more American is the fact that he's using pumpkin.
Yes, pumpkins, which originated in America.
All squashes originate in America. Take that, Italy.
Yeah, give us back our zucchini.
Your zucchini is merely an imitator of good American, I don't know what the name of the native one is. But they took it in, like, the 1500s, so you can't really, like... It's as Italian as most things, but good gosh, like, all squashes started out here.
Yeah. Although I feel like, you know, as Americans, we appropriate enough from other cultures, so it's like, you know what, you can have zucchini. That's fine. Yeah, just have that.
You know what? But that's America's thing. Like, our deal is, welcome to America. We'll take, like, we're the melting pot. Like, you come to America, you join our culture, and you just get integrated into it. So when I was living in Australia, I was listening to a show with my wife, and the guy was talking about, like, yeah, that's really why Australia's more of a melting pot than America. We were both like, whoa, back up. Pump your brakes, kid.
Like,
no.
Listen, you didn't have a healthy mix of criminals and non-criminals. You were just all criminal. America was founded by criminals and derelicts, ne'er-do-wells, and some weird-ass Puritans.
Yep. Love my country.
Yes.
But, yeah, the icon of the pumpkins are from America. And then, more than that, like, it will be harvest season around the time that will be happening, because that's why kids get off school around this time, is because it's harvest season. You go pick everything.
Yep.
So it's very, like, it's good American, like, stuff. I love it. It's good American Halloween traditions. Like, what's more Halloween than Legend of Sleepy Hollow?
Yep.
So good stuff. So that's me.
All right. Well, this week I'm sad to say I didn't pick something that was as Halloween-esque as Sleepy Hollow, but
The spirits will judge you.
I am going to talk about Legend of Korra.
Ew.
Because in our first episode I talked about Avatar: The Last Airbender, so I feel like it's appropriate that I talk about its successor.
Yeah.
So, Legend of Korra takes place, let's say about 50 years after the events of Avatar: The Last Airbender. So, sorry, go ahead.
So just to set the scene, what actually is the show about? What happened in the first series?
So, after Avatar: The Last Airbender, when the evil Fire King evil Fire Lord was deposed, and basically the 100-Year War had finally come to an end, and the Fire Nation finally backed off of trying to conquer the world, and Avatar Aang and the new Fire Lord Zuko, who is now, like, best friends with him, are now like, okay, now we can focus on healing the world, because holy shit, 100 years of war fucks shit up.
Yeah. Just ask England.
Just ask England. So this the show was originally broadcast. It aired from 2012 to 2014. Four seasons, completely self-contained story.
Wow, 2 years, 4 seasons, and it's all animation.
Yeah.
How many episodes were per season? It was like 26, right?
No, not that many. I want to say it was more like 13 episodes per season.
Okay. Still, that's a lot.
It is a lot, but just so well done. So, this show was basically made for the people who watched Avatar: The Last Airbender when they were kids. And so it's basically for those same people who at that point were like going off to college.
Yeah, and it's kind of reflected in the same way that Aang's age is reflected, where Aang was like 10 years old.
Yeah.
Now your main character is around 14, 15.
Maybe a little older than that. I want to say like probably in the 18 range.
I will check.
Okay. So we start off meeting Korra, who is a waterbend. Well, she is of the water tribe because every time the avatar is reincarnated, they're born as a different member of the nation. So it basically goes air, water, earth, fire. So after a waterbending, or after a water tribe avatar would die, next one would be of the earth kingdom.
Water.
Yeah. Didn't I say after a water tribe avatar?
I thought you said air, but okay, whatever.
Whatever. So we meet Korra, who is basically this fully realized avatar. Sort of. Like, she's got control over all four elements. She's a badass at it. And
Well, 3 of the 4, and that's one of the main conflicts of first season.
yeah, okay, so she can't airbend, but that's why she is gonna do things in the first season. Anyway, so between earth, water, and fire, she's a badass. And she's very aware of this. She's cocky as fuck.
Like, okay, so first season, or first, like, part of the show, I think it's a flashback to when she was a kid.
Yeah.
And it's like, what makes you think your daughter is the airbender? And she crushes down the wall and is, like, throwing fire out of her fist. I am the Avatar! Like, 4 years old. I am the Avatar! Fear me!
Yeah, she's basically, I'm the Avatar! You gotta deal with it! And then just firebending everywhere.
Yeah.
Rambunctious little tyke. So, we're basically told that she still needs to learn airbending in order to become a fully realized avatar. And in order to do that, she's going to learn airbending from Aang's son, Tenzin.
Which is good, because he's the only adult that knows how to.
Yes. So,
because the other ones are, I believe, dead.
More or less. But, I mean, Aang had 3 children with Katara, I believe. Oh, by the way, Aang and Katara got together, and they made, 3 babies, at the very least. So, of those 3 babies, Tenzin was the only airbender. And, let's see. So, he's going to teach Katara how to airbend. And it's really difficult for her because it basically requires a certain degree of just kind of chilling out, going with the flow, kind of just feeling at peace. And she's a teenager. Anybody who's ever been a teenager knows that teenagers being at peace doesn't usually happen.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, oh, why can't you calm down? It's like, oh, very nice of you to ask. So, you know how, I'm just a raging ball of hormones right now? I'm just so, like, pissed off and horny all the time that I just want to shoot fire everywhere.
That is not really brought up in the show, but...
No, it's not really brought up in the show, but, being a teenager, you kind of wish you could burn shit down with your mind.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
See Family Guy's perfect explanation with Chris Griffin.
Yes. Yeah, when he got superpowers.
Burn for it!
That was great. So, basically something happens and Tenzin is like, oh, I can't stay here in the North Pole with you. I gotta go take care of stuff in Republic City, which is this sort of almost Atlantis-esque sort of city where it's basically supposed to be a model utopia of what Aang envisioned for the world, where, all the nations would live in peace and harmony and sing kumbaya and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So Republic City is basically supposed to be just that. It's supposed to be like a grand mixing pot of all four nations. And it's like it's a part of all four nations and at the same time separate from the four nations. It's interesting.
More or less a world capital.
Oh, God. Oh, I don't think I should have coughed that up. I think that was important. Okay. So, Korra, being a sort of do shit first and maybe think about the repercussions later sort of girl, she kind of stows away on a ship headed towards Republic City, and she's gonna be like, ha ha ha, he's gonna teach me airbending whether or not he wants to. Or something along those lines. It's much less stalkerish than I'm making it sound. She's basically...
Yeah.
She's impatient. She's like, listen, if you can't stay here, I'll just go to Republic City with you. And then, her parents are like, no, you have to stay here and blah, blah, blah. And then she's like, no. No, that's a terrible idea. I'll just go to Republic City and he'll teach me there. So she does. And at first, everybody's kind of pissed off about this. But then they're like, whatever. So, kind of left to her own devices in Republic City, which, coming from the North Pole, huge difference. So, originally, she's like basically living in a very simple sort of village. Everybody lives in a house made of ice. And, it's very like simplistic and, it's not... There's not a whole lot of grandeur. Then you go Republic City, which is like if New York, Chicago, Hong Kong, and Tokyo all just had a orgy together and just sort of John Carpenter's The Thing mashed into one awesome, just badass city. That's basically what you would get.
You need a towel?
A towel?
Never mind.
Anyway. So she's kind of like exploring the city and it's really awesome. And then she's like kind of strolling through a park on her polar bear dog, which is like her familiar as the Avatar. And polar bear dog is awesome because it's basically just a giant dog.
Yeah.
And, let's see. So she walks by this dude, like, giving a stump speech, basically saying, like, oh, benders are bad. They just impose their will on us non-benders, and blah, blah, blah. And, Korra's just sitting there like, you're a piece of shit. And then, he's all like, oh, I bet you're a bender. And she's like, I am? And he's all like, oh, I bet you like to knock me off this stage right now. And she's sitting there like, I'm thinking about it. So
yeah,
that kind of sets up the tone where there's like sort of growing animosity between benders and these non-benders who are against benders. They call themselves equalists. They believe that everybody should just be equal. Like if not everyone can be benders, then nobody should be benders.
Yeah. Which is sort of the villain, like, because the head of that tribe is a guy called Amon, and that becomes the main villain for that first season.
Yes. And this guy's, like, covered by sort of a kabuki mask sort of thing.
It's really cool looking.
It really is. And really well-designed villain. Because they basically... It starts off as rumors, where it's like, oh, Amon can take down benders. He can take away bender's bending powers. And everybody's like, oh, and it kind of just sounds like, build-up of, just some guy, like, maybe he just snuck up behind a bender and hit him with a pipe. But then you see, like, this rally happen, this, like, secret rally, where he and some of the other equalists captured this firebending sort of crime lord. There's like a crime syndicate in Republic City that they kind of hint towards, but they don't really like go into in super detail, but it's just called the Triad, and it's like just waterbenders, earthbenders, and firebenders, and they just, do whatever they want because they're fucking benders. So it's like, you know what, I can make an earthquake, so fuck you, I'll rob the bank anytime I want.
So we're at the rally. They bring in the firebending head of the Triad, and, he's not the head of the Triad for no reason. He's so adept at firebending that he's able to do lightning. So, and Amon is basically sitting there like, I'll give you this one chance to defend yourself. And, blah, blah, blah. So they basically unrestrain the firebender, and he immediately tries to do the whole lightning thing. Amon does this amazing sort of acrobatic kung fu stuff, grabs a dude's head and puts his thumb like right between his eyes, and you see the lightning just sort of like decrease, like it's still just arcing and sparking everywhere, like it's almost panicked flailing, and then it starts decreasing to his fingertips, and then poof, now it's fire, and now the fire is decreasing back to his fingertips, and then nothing. Yeah.
And that is like, that's the oh shit moment of that season, where it's like, oh my god, this guy's serious.
Yeah, because you see the ninjas earlier in the season. They can, like, temporarily, they, like, hit your chakras or whatever.
Yeah.
To, like, temporarily take it away. But this is the guy that can, like, permanently wreck your day, which is the thing that was only done the last time in the gigantic finale of the show that Aang did, but he was using the Avatar power to do.
Yeah. So that's basically what's got everybody so scared, where it's like, how can you take away somebody's bending? That's a power that should only be reserved for the Avatar. And, that was the thing. That was how Aang beat the Fire Lord, because, he was basically like, I gotta fight this guy, but I don't want to kill him because, I'm airbender. I was raised to believe that all life is sacred and everything like that, and I don't have the right to, kill someone.
I love how his past self during that season is just screaming at him like, you gotta take him out, man.
Yeah.
You gotta take out the grandson of the guy who killed me.
Yeah.
I want vengeance, Aang. Revenge!
Vengeance!
So, Legend of Korra. We have this guy, Amon.
So, yeah, then we also get introduced to a couple of other different characters, and of those characters, we get a new team avatar, which is really great. So we've got Korra as the avatar, and then she meets Mako and Bolin. Sometimes they pronounce it Mako. Mako. He was named after the guy who voiced Uncle Iroh in the first series.
Who did amazingly, and who was also the voice of Aku!
Aku! Yes.
And his brother Bolin, Bolin.
Sorry, I just my brain went immediately to the way he pronounced unspeakable evil.
How was that?
Aku, just like, unleashed an unspeakable evil.
Yeah.
So,
okay, go on. So we have a new team avatar. We have Mako, who's a firebender, and his brother Bolin, who is an earthbender.
Yeah. So that,
who are orphans trapped in the city. So basically you have Avatar Batman.
Basically. And it's really interesting. Like, this is the sort of intermingling of other nations that you see in Republic City, because Mako and Bolin are brothers, but they're both benders, but they bend different elements. So it's like, Anyway, Bolin's also got a pet fire ferret named Pabu, and Pabu's great.
Pabu fills the role of the lemur cat from the first series.
Momo.
Yeah.
But yeah, Pabu is amazing and adorable. Whatever. So where Korra first meets Mako and Bolin is at a Oh my god, why can't I remember the name of the sport?
It doesn't matter. It's basically professional bending competitions.
Basically, yeah. So I could get into the rules of the sport, but I'm not gonna.
We don't have time.
But the guy who plays the announcer for the sport is also the guy who basically does a recap of every episode. And it's amazing because it's basically like everything's every time they do last time on Avatar, it's all like it's all old
1930s
footage,
1930s radio.
but it's like it's all sepia tone and like grainy film look. It's like last time on Legend of Korra. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, it's great. It never gets old, at least to me.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So we meet Mako and Bolin, and then we end up meeting Asami, who is the daughter of a wealthy industrialist and professional cliche breaker.
What do you mean?
Well, imagine like any cartoon that you've ever watched where they introduce a rich girl.
She's a rich girl, and you know too far.
Oh my god!
In a way.
Oh, walked right into that one.
I'm familiar with this.
So, yeah, there's a certain...
She's a rich girl, and you know... Go.
Damn you. So...
I will turn this into the Hall of Notes cast right now.
Oh, God. So...
I'm a man-eater.
Damn it! I'm gonna drive 6 hours to punch you in the face. Anyway. So, there's a certain trope that goes along with the character of a rich girl, especially in cartoons. You know, you have your Veronica from the Archie comics. You have Pacifica Northwest from Gravity Falls. You
got Princess from Powerpuff Girls. Just a snob, generally.
Yeah. Except Asami is awesome and generous and caring and actually has a soul.
And her dad is freaking nuts, which also helps sympathize.
Yeah. So her mother was killed in sort of a triad assault, let's say, sort of thing, where it's just criminals happened and, you know, her mom was caught in the crossfire. Her dad has never been able to get that anti-bender chip off of his shoulder, so he basically in secret sides with the equalists and produces giant war machines that are theoretically able to take on benders at least one-on-one.
Yeah.
So there's that. And sorry if I spoiled it for you, but I mean, this season that I'm talking about is 5 years old, so I don't know. Anyway,
it is just season 1, and it's still worth a watch. Like, you can say what happens in a film, but it's not the same as like watching it happen. Like, I can say in The Dark Knight that a truck flips over.
Yeah.
But that scene is so good.
It really is. And I'm sure it disobeys like at least 5 laws of physics.
It really doesn't, because they flipped over an actual truck.
Huh.
Yeah. I mean, they had to like rig it in a certain way to get it to do that, but they did. They flipped over an actual truck to get it to do that.
Well,
because Christopher Nolan hates CGI and he wanted to use it as sparingly as possible. That's like the scene that happened in the where the Batmobile gets hit by the rocket launcher in the like the freeway, like whereas it's the freeway, but there's the overpass right there.
Oh yeah,
miniatures.
Huh.
Yeah.
Huh.
Anyways, we're not talking about Batman. We're talking about Legend of Korra. So you have your new team.
Are we not always talking about Batman to some extent?
Pete is a member of the Church of the Dark Knight, if nobody didn't know.
We are the Knight.
You got me. So we have Team Avatar. We have Mako and Bolin. You have your Firebender, your Earthbender. You have Asami, who's not a bender, but because of all of her dad's inventions and her genius, she's very technically versed.
Yes. And, she makes herself essential to the success of Team Avatar. She is incredibly resourceful. She's well connected. She is able to get shit done. And so between these 4 people working together towards a common goal, there's gonna be like a love triangle. You can feel it. Wrong, because you're getting a fucking love square.
Okay, so yeah.
So Bolin is pining after Korra, who wants to go out with Mako, who is going out with Asami. Love square.
Yeah. It's like it's only 3 sides because Asami's not going after Bolin, so it's really like it's a love, like the pizza tent thing.
Sort of. They say love triangle because it involves 3 people. So if it involves 4 people, then it's love square.
Okay.
Yeah, love square trademark. I dibs that.
So, and there's like a lot of things like you were saying going on in the show. There's the like sport they're playing. There's all the conflicts that happen during that. There's all the Amon stuff that's going on, and then there's also the political end of it that Tenzin's really involved in. That they're juggling all at once.
Yeah. So there's so much going on. There's like a social political commentary that shows you exactly how much should the government, play a part in people's personal lives, or what is the rational response to terrorist threats and things like this. And it's just like a whole bunch of questions that don't have an easy answer. And that's really great for any show, especially a show that's supposed to be like for kids, to actually sort of confront. It's basically like, it doesn't come down to good versus evil. It comes down to like trying to protect innocent people. And, do you protect innocent people by like installing a curfew and keeping everyone at home and safe? Or do you protect them by showing that, no, we're not gonna, we're not gonna bend to threats of violence and fear. We're gonna, fuck you. We're gonna watch this, like, sports game.
Yeah.
And it's just really well done, the way they do it. I don't want to spoil the ending, but it involves, like, a really, really long history and a really emotional bond between certain people, and it's fulfilling, it's heartbreaking, and it's pretty insightful. It's really great. And that's just season 1. I haven't even gotten into season 2, where we actually learn more about the Avatar lore, which, another reason I love this series, because they just expand on what the Avatar actually is, and they explain how the Avatar began. And it's great. We learn the story of... Sorry.
Okay, first off, we're at 59 minutes, so we can't really go into season 2.
Yeah. So, I mean, we learn the story of Avatar 1, which... that kind of made me facepalm a little bit. It's like, Avatar 1? You mean Avatar number 1?
I don't know. Like won? Like the Chinese money? Avatar dollar.
God damn it.
Spend your Ang bucks here.
Okay. So...
keep a hold of those Korra coins.
There's... God damn it! You got me. Anyway. So, yeah. I don't have enough time to go into all the other stuff that I want to talk about. But this series is so great. There's 4 seasons, and you gotta watch them all, because it's great. And also, I just wanted to point out that, in the first series, Avatar: The Last Airbender, the Avatar was like sort of hailed as this hero, this champion, this bringer of balance to the world, and blah blah blah. In this iteration, the world has advanced. People have technology. They have cars. They have blimps. Right now it's like peak industrial revolution, steampunky as shit. I love the aesthetic in this show. Oh my god. Just Yes, all the steampunk, all the time. More steam and more punk. And since people are basically able to get along by themselves, they don't really need the Avatar. And that's basically a sort of hurdle that Korra has to not exactly jump, but sort of just deal with. Like it's a reoccurring hurdle.
It's her role of coming to terms with her role as less of a savior like Aang was, and more of a like actual ruler. Because she's basically the high priest of that city or that world.
Yes, but the world has also become a lot more secular.
Yeah, but we gotta get moving.
Yeah. So, yeah, she basically has to deal with the fact that as the Avatar, she's like a relic of a bygone era. And that's also a really impressive sort of subject to come up to in this show. So that's about all I can say about that without going way too over the line. Let's talk about the wrap-up. So, Bart, what's your favorite thing about Sleepy Hollow?
Just that it's been around for so long. It's like it's an American legend, like homegrown, and I love that about it.
Nice. So, what's something you hate about it?
I think I hate like the supernaturalness of it. Well, okay, so the Sleepy Hollow TV show, you have like the horseman is like made deals with the devil and like he's a horseman of death, and then there's demons and all that stuff. But I like the straight like trickiness of it.
Nice.
Rather than just like flaming Pumpkinhead chasing you this evening.
Right on. So who would you recommend Sleepy Hollow to?
Oh, it's everybody. Like, this is just good old legend. Well, maybe not if you don't know what Halloween is, if you're in a country that doesn't celebrate it.
Yeah, probably.
Halloween's pretty much just us. Like, which is weird to think about because of how pervasive it is in American society.
I mean, pretty much a lot of different cultures have something Halloween-ish. Like, Mexico has Dia de los Muertos, or a lot of European countries have like sort of harvest festival that's kind of Halloween-ish. And
but it's not the same.
And even Eastern countries like China and Japan have sort of their own sort of Day of the Dead where they just kind of honor the passing of their ancestors and etc.
Yeah, but Halloween's not really about dead people. It's the holiday to celebrate scary things.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, it's horror's holiday. But we got to get moving. Pete, what do you love about Avatar or about Legend of Korra?
What I really love about it is just the three-dimensional characters. Like, upon seeing characters at the first time, you think like, oh, stereotype. But there's just so much more to these characters, and they actually become real to you. And that is beautiful writing and great storytelling.
All right, and what do you hate about Legend of Korra?
Ooh.
Gotta come up with something.
I know. But I would say the thing I hate about it might be there are some fluff parts that I think the show could probably do without. Like, with every huge thing going on, and then it just kind of like breaks off to a little fluff, almost filler feeling type of stuff. All you can think of is, get back to the thing!
Yeah. Okay, and who is Legend of Korra a good fit for?
Let's see. If you like young adult movies, such as Hunger Games, or maybe Les Miserables, or anything that sort of overthrows like an oppressive organization, or anything that kind of resembles a coming of age sort of story, or if you like kung fu and steampunk and just kind of really awesome action, then I mean, you're probably gonna love it. I honestly can't imagine anybody hating this thing.
All right, so that's it for us this week. Good stuff. Thank Thank you to OK Go for the use of their song Here It Goes Again off the album Oh No. You know them, you don't know us. You can catch me on Twitter at BeatPanelComic.
And you can catch me on Twitter at PeterKennyArt.
Pete, you know what you're going to do next week?
Nope.
Nothing? Dude, I have like 4 already.
I mean, part of me wants to do Muppet Treasure Island.
Ah, that's pretty good. I'm doing Metroid.
Nice.
It's
Good stuff.
Super fun. All right, but that's it for this week. We got to go. All right. Thanks for listening, folks.
Bye, Sponch.
Bye, Sponch.